Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
What's up, podcast family? Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 424 for June 24th, 2025. I'm Phil Graham. I've got a really important show for you guys today because I'm going to be talking about 5 Facebook and Instagram ad myths that you need to avoid. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you were just struggling with your ads, that they're not working for you at all, or maybe they used to work and they're not working as well? Well, if that's the case, you might be falling for some of these common myths that people believe that can sometimes cause people to fail. So today I want to talk about 5 of the most common myths I see all the time and what you should do instead. Now, before we dive into the content, if you guys are looking for some help with your ads, whether it's having them done for you or learning how to do them one-on-one, whether it's ad related or AI, for any of those things, you can go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. So let's talk about these 5 myths. You know, it's really important to start off by saying that there are variables, there are exceptions. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So it is possible that you could break some of these rules and be successful. But what I see happening way more often is people falling for these myths and losing time and losing money. And so while not doing them doesn't guarantee you success, if it's me, if it's my business, I am not going to fall for any of these myths because I know that they are most likely going to lead to failure for a lot of people. So I think it's really important. So let's talk about myth number 1. This is super common. I hear this all the time. And by the way, when I say Facebook ads, I mean Facebook and Instagram and Threads, really meta ads, okay? So myth number 1, Facebook ads are only for companies and entrepreneurs and advertisers with large budgets. That is not true. A lot of people believe that you have to spend thousands or tens of thousands to see results. The truth of the matter is, small budgets can absolutely work, but you're at a disadvantage, obviously, if you have a small budget because you have less room for error. So at any budget, you should be very strategic and very highly skilled with your ads. But it's even more important with a small budget. So it's really important to know that, yes, you can succeed. It doesn't guarantee success either way, but you can reach people with a small budget or a large budget. I've had certain clients that had to start as low as $5 a day. And while I don't recommend that, if that's something that someone can only do, it's either that or nothing, then make it work. Get your message out in front of people and out in front of an ideal audience. And then you can build from there and hopefully build that up to where you have a much larger budget. But please don't fall for the myth that Facebook ads are only for large budgets, because that's not true. There's plenty of advertisers making it work, even with very small budgets, even though it's not ideal. And when you're working with a small budget, and I've done episodes on this before, I would recommend really going strong with video ads and also focusing on warm audiences and really good ad copy and creatives. And again, you got to get really good at this. You got to really learn how to evaluate the data, because if you don't, you're probably going to fail. Myth number 2 is that boosted posts are just as good as regular ads. A lot of people think that if you just boost it, it's the same thing and just as good. The truth is, boosting is way more limited in most situations than using the ads manager and running full ads that give you full control. So I never boost a post, never, ever, ever. I would always go in and run a full ad instead. Now, you might already have a post that you want to essentially boost. You can put that post ID into the ads manager and run it as a full ad without even changing the post. But you're most likely going to get some better targeting options, better testing opportunities, maybe even better conversion tracking and more by using Ads Manager and running full ads. So long story short, I would never ever boost a post. I would always run it as a full ad in Ads Manager. Myth number 3. Oh my gosh, I hear this a lot, you guys. Facebook hates me, or the algorithm hates me, or they hate my company. A lot of times somebody believes if their ad doesn't do well, the algorithm must just hate them. And you know what? A lot of people feel this way. You're not alone. But is that the truth? No. The algorithm does not have feelings, for one thing. But what it does typically is the algorithm will reward ads that are relevant and have other strong signals to them, engagement and people taking certain actions and clicking and things like that. So if you're running an ad that's doing horrible, it's probably not the algorithm. It doesn't hate you. You might just need some different creatives, maybe some different messaging, maybe some different targeting or something like that. So don't think the algorithm hates you. That's not the case. Use that as a sign to do better creatives. Maybe you need a better offer, or maybe you need, like I said, a better audience, but find ways to work with the algorithm instead of thinking it just hates you, because if you think that, you're probably destined to fail. Just change some things and test and use data, and then evaluating what's going on and making improvements. All right, myth number 4 is my audience is too niche for Facebook. So a lot of people think their audience is just way too specific, too niche, and that Facebook won't work. Well, guess what? Facebook has billions of users every single day. Your audience is on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Threads, they're on WhatsApp, etc. So the people are there. Your ideal audience is there. And so what you can do is you can leverage that. You can create custom audiences. You can create audiences based off of interest and behaviors and demographics and lookalikes. In fact, I love niche audiences. I think a lot of people are crazy and they make a huge mistake of only targeting large, broad audiences when they should also be testing much smaller, segmented niche audiences, because a lot of times they can thrive. Now, it doesn't always work that way, but a lot of times it can. So I totally disagree that an audience or niche is too small for Facebook. I absolutely think that that's the opportunity for you to really thrive with that kind of scenario. So if I were you, I would feed Facebook and Instagram, Meta, better signals, and then let them run with it. And what do I mean by that? Let them know the types of people that you're looking for through data. For example, do you have an email list that you can upload that shows them what kind of people have given you their email? Do you have a customer list? And then obviously, I would have some different types of ads. Yes, I would have a large, broad audience, but I would also have some much smaller niche and segmented audiences running alongside that, which is also going to help Facebook know who you're looking for. And it could absolutely work. Is it guaranteed to work? No. But I actually like segmented audiences sometimes much better than large, broad audiences. It does depend, but they can be very strong. So don't fall into that false belief that they don't ever work. And then last but not least, myth number 5. Oh my gosh, I hear this all the time. Oh, my ads didn't work, so Facebook doesn't work. Nobody uses it anymore. It just sucks. Nobody responds to ads anymore, blah, blah, blah. That's such BS. Like I said earlier, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, etc., Meta has billions of users every single day. These are not robots. These are normal people who use the platform. So just because you might have ads that aren't working doesn't mean that ads don't work. It's literally, I heard Gary Vee say this once a long time ago, years ago, and he knocked it out of the park when he said it. He said, just because you can't play basketball doesn't mean a basketball doesn't work. Hand that basketball to somebody like LeBron James, and they can monetize that ball to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Whereas most people could never do that. Does that mean that basketball doesn't work? No. It means they didn't have the skill to make it work. Ads are very similar. So usually bad results with your ads comes down to a bunch of different things. You might be incorrectly evaluating data. You might be incorrectly testing. Your messaging might not be strong enough. You might have the wrong audience. You might have the wrong objective. You might have creatives that aren't as good. You might be shutting them off too soon or letting them run too long. You might have a bad funnel. You might have a bad landing page or offer or sales page. There's so many things that could cause that. But the people that just start saying, oh, it just doesn't work anymore, that is just total BS. So what you need to do instead is evaluate why it didn't work. Don't give up. Don't pass the buck and act like it's somebody's fault. Evaluate why it didn't work and then make changes and use data to guide you in what to do next. Most people never know why something that didn't work. They just know it didn't. If you can't figure out why, you are on the road to failure. You've got to figure out why. That's something that I work with people on all the time because it's so important. So, my friends, Facebook ads are not broken, but the way most people use them are and cause a lot of people to fail. So what I would recommend is you guys really audit, number one, your beliefs around Facebook and Meta ads, as well as audit, obviously, your data and your approach to ads and your mindset. And do you have a strategy? Because if you're running ads without a strategy just randomly, then you're probably going to fail. And if you're falling for any of these myths and either doing them or using them as an excuse, you're also probably going to fail. And I don't want you to fail. And as always, just a reminder, it's always important to point out that every business is unique. Results can vary. There's no guaranteed outcomes. So always keep that in mind. So my friends, episode 424 is in the books. I'm so glad you were here. If you have questions or want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com is the website, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital. I would love to connect with you. Next week, I'm going to talk about how to fix your Facebook ad funnel in a very short amount of time, and I will see you on next week's episode. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.